also how she got started, which is the key thing, because we want you to learn today that not age is just a number, as Davey always says, and if you've got a passion for something you want to follow, it's never too late to learn a new skill. So without further ado, we're going to pass you over to Jillian.
Oh, thanks so much, and thanks for having me on today. I've been really excited about this because I've watched some of the YouTubes, and oh my goodness, I'm in really good company. So thank you so much
for inviting watching me on.
Funny, I was down at the gym there, and there's a guy who's talking to a guy, and he's saying that he's listening to the podcast. He's actually going home to listen to the William episode tonight.
Yeah, William's has been quite a popular one. I think a lot of people know William.
Over 142 views so far.
But that's really good for us. And I know in about 10 years' time we're going, said that was big for us.
Yeah, I was sort of a bit rude to him. I was like, I'm in between training here, like, talk to him afterwards, I'll sign an autograph or two.
Celeb.
So no, it was good to actually somebody come up and say that there. I was like, oh, thanks, you're very welcome.
Well, we're going to hear it again from Jillian today.
Yeah.
Jillian, so you and I know each other. We go back way back. We went to school together. Woo!
Way back. What do you mean way back? Sure, we're only in our like early 30s,
I was 24.
Right?
Like I like to think like yesterday was way back when. So nobody would have thought that I'd have been a lawyer turned PT, and nobody would have thought you would have turned into a content writer. So it's fair to say that we've changed our path a few times along the way.
Definitely.
Now, you haven't always been a content writer, which I've just said. What did you do before, and what was the thing that made you change, or what was the passion that you found in content writing?
So in university, I done business management, and that's what I was really interested in. Even in way back in our school days, like that was where my interest really did lie with business, and I am a total business geek even to this day. But I really was interested in retail. So, because I worked in retail throughout school and in university and so on. So I went on to do retail management and joined the Debenhams. I was lucky enough to get through to the Debenhams graduate scheme. And there was only 2 of us did at that time. So I was able to go and work in the Rushmere store under great management there and really loved it. Then my career progressed on, and I was headhunted out of Debenhams into River Island. And I went in there as a troubleshooter. So I basically went into a store that really wasn't that great and helped them turn it around. And I was there for, gosh, I'd say maybe 8 years, and I loved it. But I was starting to think about, I'd got married and I was starting to think about a family, and retail is quite hard to work in when you have a family because there's no set days off. It's not a Monday to Friday job. So I actually, again, was approached about moving to work for still retail as such, but for Cookery Sports. So I moved into working in retail from an office Monday to Friday, couldn't believe my luck. And I done all the retailing for like Ulster Rugby, Belfast Giants, Bushmills Distillery, Temple Bar, and also then moved into teamwear with schools and so on.
Yeah,
and I was made redundant from there.
Boom.
Like, boom. Not out of nowhere. I knew the Ulster Rugby contract was coming to an end, and I didn't know whether they were going to renew or not. And I thought I could maybe stay here for another wee while until the kids are up into school, and then I would probably look for something else. But so it did come out of nowhere, but I was really fortunate enough that a client that we had at Cookery then quickly was on the phone to me, can you come and work for us? So I went to work for another sports company. I was very lucky, really lucky. And then, of course, our little friend COVID came, and I knew I'm not going to be able to go back to this business, I don't think, because it's sports, and I wasn't really sure whether sports was going to start back up. And I thought, this could go on for a bit, so I need to really think about what I want to do here. And meanwhile, in the background, I had been writing some content for some digital agencies, and I wasn't telling anyone I was doing that. They had just approached me because they had read, I have a lifestyle blog, and they had read those blogs and liked my style of writing, but I wasn't telling anyone. It was like a hidden secret in a drawer that I just kept. And I thought, I actually quite like this. Maybe I could lean into this, which would mean that I could do my, work my own hours around the children going back to school. I didn't know when that was happening. I thought, I could do this, because things had moved at that point to a lot of online, but a lot of online businesses. Social media was really driven hard in order to get sales. I thought, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So I announced it. This is what I'm going to do. Told everyone I was going to do. I thought, flip, I've really got to do this now. Like I've said I'm going to do it. I've got to go full steam ahead. So, and I've been really fortunate since. That was a really long-winded answer.
And like what I,
Yeah,
I picked up a lot from that there, and obviously I didn't realize that your approach. That's pretty cool. That must have given you a big confidence boost following the redundancy for that. But this is me picking up in keywords. You said lean into it, which means I picked something up when I was reading through some of your lifestyle blogs. And I don't mind, I'm gonna move to my screen and read what you said, because you talked about it in your Turning 40 blog. Because sorry, I had to let the cat out of the bag run for it.
I did me.
I don't know. But you specifically said don't have a backup plan because you will never give it your all. Do not see the risk, but the opportunity. Success will come when you put the hard work in. And I think that there, and the fact that you said you're going to lean into something and really do the work for it, just speaks volumes. And I think anyone who's listening here today needs to remember that. Like, when everyone talks about, I don't know where you got it, but I certainly got it. It's like, why don't you just do the fitness thing as a wee side hustle and keep your full-time job? And I'm like going, why? But and I was like, but it doesn't concern you. It's not your income that's being affected. It's mine. It's not your day-to-day run that's being affected. It's mine. And this is what I want to do. So shut up and support me. And it's not a side hustle. It's
I hate that word. Oh, side hustle.
Side hustle. But yeah, that's what people say. Just do it on the side and just tinker away at it as if it's not something that you're really interested in. You're going
the way they always say tinker, tinker away, like oh.
So there you go. That was this my little thing. It was quite clear that you didn't fall into it. It was something that you started and somebody appreciated and respected what you did, and then you saw that, gee whiz, I'm quite good at this, and go ahead with it. So that's phenomenal. And in terms of over the last couple of years, just COVID's been around and you were doing it in the background, you're doing it the secret, as you said, and now you're full blown at it. What has been the biggest lesson to date that you've learned from it?
That's such an interesting question, because I think when you start your own business, you have it sort of in a mindset of, oh, well, this is going to be a success because I'm going to give it my all, and sure, of course it's going to work out. But I think it's only as you start to grow in your business and lean into your business, that you do notice a lot of things that you maybe didn't even think of in the start. So in terms of the biggest lessons, I have a couple. My first one is, I believe, this is only my personal opinion, that there is no such thing as luck. That, and especially, this might be controversial, women in business, I think men are quick to say, oh yes, I deserve that, I worked really hard for that. And women tend to go, oh, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Women really, I think, play down success, and I hate that. I think that you really need to be your own hype person. And I don't think it's down to luck, it's down to really hard work. A great example of this is even this week, my daughter moved up a group in swimming, and she came out and she said, why do you think they moved me up, Mum? And I said, well, why do you think, Olivia? And she says, well, I suppose I done all right. I says, oh my goodness, why are you downplaying your own success? You haven't just done all right, you've worked really hard for that. Never downplay the hard work that you've done. So I would say people aren't lucky, they work hard. Another lesson I've learned is to know your worth. At the start, I think people here in Northern Ireland in particular are really secretive about the pricing strategy that they use or what to charge and so on. And I quickly found out that I was undercharging people, because when I seen what other people were, I was like, my gosh, what am I doing? So I only learned the value of the money and my time and my services and what that meant to people probably a few months into my business, and I quickly changed that, and I wasn't apologetic about it, because why would I be? I hate that when people say, oh, I'm going to put my prices up a wee bit, I'm really sorry. Don't be sorry. You're bringing value to someone. They should appreciate that value. Definitely 100%.
For your time and your profession.
Absolutely. Like, you wouldn't go and get your hair cut, go up to the till to pay, and they say, oh, that's £50, and you go, I'm not paying that, that's far too much.
Or the nails, everyone will pay like £35 every 4 or 5 weeks. Well, I don't get my nails done.
Question that because you want it done. So if you want that service and you like that service, you'll pay for it. It's the cost benefit principle, 100%. So I learned that quickly.
No, it is quite hard. And I'll go back to the thing you said about women and versus men in the workforce. Again, following that word lean in, there is a book by Sheryl Sandberg called Lean In, really good book, by the way. And she talks about how men are very like, oh, look at me, big macho man, and how women would be like, going, oh, couldn't have done it without blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Instead of, like you said, showing their worth and being their own cheerleader. And I do find that quite, I find that really hard in business for women. We do have women groups, we do have social networks and stuff together, and it's great. But we still have those niggles in this society, especially Northern Ireland. I don't know what it's like anywhere else. I haven't been anywhere else. I'm just talking from Northern Ireland perspective. That it is really, really hard to blow your own trumpet and not sound like a knob.
Yeah.
Because people will go, she doesn't know what she's talking about. You hear your woman there like as if she knows what she's talking about.
What if I did?
I can go down the road and get that for a lot cheaper. I can do such, and he's got loads of results before. And I go,
usually I try and say, well, if you think you get cheaper, go ahead.
Yes, because you see that thing like Instagram. I'm sure you've done this reel because you do all these quirky little funny reels about like your 3 things. You're certain like that you want good quality, you want done quickly, and you want it done cheaply, but they don't all go together.
Nope.
So.
Oh no, definitely not. And I've had instances where clients have came to me and they say, that's too much for me. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't want anyone to feel under pressure. That's fine. But then not everyone now, but on occasion, people will come back to me and say, oh, I actually went and I paid someone like on Fiverr to write a blog post for me. And it's been a disaster and I've had to fix it. And can you just do it? I said, okay.
Wouldn't come back and tell you, although you probably know from having read their social media that somebody else has been doing it for them.
Sometimes, and I do see things and I'm like, okay, that wasn't really the direction that we talked about, and that they've gone to someone else and it's a totally different thing. But that's okay. That's
what I've noticed now is the craze now is because you can pay for your blue tick. Everybody seems to be banning their blue tick on Instagram.
To be verified. I mean, I don't understand why someone needs to be verified. I mean, you are who you are. You don't need to check to say that's them.
There's only one of you guys, like one of us.
Yeah.
So in terms of social media reactions, we've talked about this. We've touched upon it there now. A lot of people, especially in the fitness industry, we find it's the same stuff regurgitated, maybe with an odd word here, a different video or a different picture, and we find that sometimes that has a certain lifespan, but then it quickly dies because people realize that's just the same crap that Joe Blogs is writing down the road. And then it comes down to people writing authentic spiels with their Instagram or doing videos or doing something that shows them as a human being. From your perspective as a content writer, do you think that's good, or do you think that sometimes when you're being completely you and having different views than the whole public, that can be polarizing?
I think particularly in social media, people buy from people. I know that I warm to people a lot more when I know them through social media, or I see their real life on social media. But I think it's really important for people to remember that it is like, take Instagram, for example, it's an app. People are only showing you the highlight reels. People are only showing you the stuff that they want you to see. And you just have to take some of it with a pinch of salt. But and particularly, and this kind of deviates off, but I will come back, as I said, it's an app. If that app is deleted, you have to make sure that you have your customers elsewhere, because if you were to disappear, how would your business still run? And that's really the importance of having a mailing list right there. That's really important because you can own that. You don't own the information that's on social media apps. You don't own it. Yeah, they're your photos and they're your reels, but they're not actually yours because Instagram owns that. So if that's taken away, you're in trouble. So it's really important to lean into a mailing list. But in terms of being authentic, coming back around to what you'd asked, I definitely think that if people see the real you, that it's more appealing. And the example I always give is I met someone, I follow them on social media and they always look so good. They're in the trouser suit and everything. And then I met them in the street where I live. And I mean, they were in a hoodie, they were in tracksuit bottoms, their hair was everywhere. And I'm not knocking the way they looked, but I thought, you're so different to the way you portray yourself. And I was shocked. But I suppose everyone's different. Some people get dressed up for social media, and it's not really for me. I would just, you can only cover that up for so long, you know, the way you speak or the way you are. But then when someone meets, I know particularly me, I talk the way I talk now, and I talk like this if you were sitting in front of me. This is the way I speak. And I think there's only so long you can wear the mask.
You said there, you know, that you seen them all dressed up on social media, and there you go, you're walking down the street completely different. You're like, hang on, is that really you? Like, you know, be yourself.
I think that would put me off someone nearly. I would rather you, because I say that's what I do feel, that people warm to people, buy from people. And if you knew someone who had a smaller business, I think you'd want to support them.
Yeah.
Knowing that they were authentic.
What's the other one? What gets me is with they're hiring the Ferraris and all out and all, saying, I bought this here because I have made millions. Next minute you see them getting on a wee Fiat Uno or something. You're like, oh yeah, we're that disappear too.
Yeah, the car's probably on lease.
Or flying about in a helicopter. This is my own private helicopter. I'm like, yeah, do one.
People do buy into images, and that's the thing with social media. I'm as I said to you, I'm kind of in two brackets with it. One, I think it's really, really good for promoting individuality, for promoting services, promoting products. I get that. And the other hand, there's this expectation that we have to be like everybody else in order to get the following or get the interaction. I haven't a clue when I say this, and I'm honest when I say this. The algorithm, whatever the heck that means, I have no idea. But if you are the same as everybody else and they get followed, well, sure, if you do that, you get followed. That means you can further up the algorithm. The SEO is better. And I'm like going, I don't know what that means.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
It's a lot to take in for sure.
Be normal. That's what I do.
Look, what is
SEO
crack?
Yeah, like I'll come back to that, but I want to talk about followers. People are obsessed with the number of followers you have, and I think that is absolutely ridiculous. Like through my lifestyle account, at Jillian Henning, I get lots of I suppose it's influencer opportunities, but mine's only a small account. Like I have less than 2,000 followers. I get rid of a lot of followers. Yikes, sorry if anyone's watching this and they did follow me. You're cut.
I've done the same myself the last couple of days.
No, I get rid of a lot of followers who don't engage with me, and I don't engage with, because I love the chat. I could post a photo and I could maybe have 2 or 3 comments, but I could share that on my stories and I can have 20 to 30 DMs. So all my chat is in the DMs, and that's like where all the banter is, and that's what I love. But people are obsessed with the followers. But when it comes to business and followers, I think that's ridiculous, because you could have 10,000 followers and 100 of those are customers, but you could have 2,000 followers and 100 of those are customers. It's the same, you have the same amount of customers, you just have more followers, so what? And actually, in actual fact, having more followers can be a hindrance, because you can't engage if you couldn't manage the engagement of all those people, and engagement will bring your account to the forefront in the algorithm. So the algorithm is basically your engagement, how many views you're getting of your videos or your photos or shares and so on. And the more popular those are, the more that like the likes of Instagram will push that out to followers, because it believes, well, people really like this, so I'm going to show it to more people.
Yeah, like we're talking about this today, and I was literally thinking about this before I came on to the show today. I was like, this person's got like, I was looking at some account, some lady transformation thing. I was like, wow. And I delved into her and nosy about, like I do. And she had something like 576,000 followers. Not going to say her name because I can't remember, to be honest. And then I flicked on to how many she was following. So 576 versus 1,900. And I was thinking, like, I follow about 1,800 because I click through on the pages so that I can see their stuff coming through for inspiration. And I might not ever look at it again. But out of the 1,900 people I follow, I probably only look regularly at about 20 of those pages.
That's the same as me.
That's kind of like when people start worrying about numbers, like, well, how many people do you actually watch yourself every single day?
That's sort of, just when you're talking about numbers and all, that's annoying, because like if you're like an athlete or trying to get sponsorship, the first thing I ask is, how many followers you got? And I'm like, what's that got to do with anything? If you haven't got 5,000 followers, see you later. I'm like,
it's purely a vanity metric. It is not relative in the grand scheme of things. If you're talking about sales, like, yeah, more people might see your content, but that doesn't mean they're buying anything from you. So yeah, it's more about vanity, I think.
Yeah.
A clothing printer embroidery place, and he said, oh, you can use this option, but you need to have at least X amount of clients. And I guess we don't have those numbers of clients yet. And he was like, well, we can't work together. And I was like, I think you're being a bit short-sighted because whilst I don't have those clients on my book taking me as a personal trainer, I have people in my court that would probably wear the stuff that I would be making. So it doesn't have to be clients of a personal trainer that would wear this stuff. This is a brand. There's going to be a brand going forward. And he's like, oh, I have to keep it in this business.
That's a missed opportunity, and that's on them.
It is on them because we don't think I'm going to go forward with it.
No, you'll just go see you later. Move on to somebody else.
You mentioned there about seeing somebody you follow on social media very different and in real life to what they were on the screen. You also mentioned about social media influencer opportunities. Talk me through some of the big events that you've gone to, because don't get me wrong, I've been following you and I've gone, oh, this class. What was the first one like? What was the worst one like? What's the best one like? And are you still doing them?
Oh my goodness. So basically because I have a lifestyle blog, I registered with like some PR companies, and they invited me along to like blogger brunches and events. I've been to some great ones. It's a great way to network, but it's also, I don't use it so much for network. Well, I did towards the end there because of my business, but it's a great way to meet the people sort of behind the squares. And I've made some really great friends through Instagram. But I think you got to filter out some of it, and just take some things with a pinch of salt, because there are people out there that are obviously making their living off this and have no shame in their game, like when you're out. That's just not for me. So I've been to a lot of different events, that have been sponsored by the likes of Aprisol, Specsavers, Hishitan, Skinishin, don't think what else, Barista Bar, through Spar. They're just some of the things there's been more, but they're just off the top of my head.
I think it was I can't remember, but it had pink. Everywhere was bits of pink in it.
Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I can't think of even what that is. Oh, I can't even think.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I've been invited to a lot of those. I've also had some PR agencies contact me. And I've done a bit of a mixture of paid content, and I'll be honest, I don't really like that. And freebies, and people are surprised when I say that about getting paid, but it's a lot of pressure to create good content, and good content can take a while to put together. And because when you're paid, you have to show that they're getting their money's worth, so you have to show them the stats, the insights from your account and so on. And if it's not good, you feel like a bit of a loser. Well, sometimes. But some of the things I get approached with, it's with my kids, and kids don't always play ball. Do you know what I mean? So the free things I take sometimes, if it's going to suit our family, like recently there, we were invited along by Pizza Hut to go and try the Northern Ireland's only Pizza Hut. My kids love pizza, so I said yes to that.
Is it the only Pizza Hut that we have now? I was like,
yeah, they've all closed down.
We had one up at the SSE, formerly known as the Odyssey. Then it went. And after that, I was like, surely there's one around Shaftesbury Square. And I was like, no. So there you go.
Yeah, so it's things like that are fun that my family can sort of benefit from, and they like, like when Mullins Ice Cream approached me. So
you love ice cream.
Ice cream is my favorite. Like, I need to go to meetings about ice cream. I have such a problem. Oh my goodness. It's I'm nearly going to daydream there about it. But yeah, so then like a big massive hamper of Mullins ice cream arrived on our doorstep, and there was like 10 tubs of it. I thought I'd die and go to heaven, but I had to remember this for the kids, Jillian, and keep it in focus. So yeah, then we made some Halloween things out of ice cream, and things that are fun that they like, I'm happy to get on board with. But there's when you're saying something for free, the obligation is to share it, that you're doing it. But the content doesn't have to be pristine, and it does when you're paid. So I don't really like paid things. That sounds weird to say, I know, but I'm not really.
Too much pressure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why
it's not fun. It's you're getting paid for it, and you feel like you have to have a professional level where if something's free or something like it, you're gonna have more fun with it, more enjoyable with it.
Which is the wrong thing. Like, the more fun you have with something, the more authentic something comes across, the more engaging that comes with your customers and the people who are watching you on social media, without the price tag. So Perhaps those
Exactly.
who are paying you go, just go free fall.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want, and they just have to go, give us 3 versions of something and we'll pick whatever one you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I even done that with Tato and Erwin's. They approached me to create some content for them around like Tato and Erwin's. They teamed up for an anniversary. So they sent me like Tato crisps, and then I got like Tato mug and an Erwin's mug and a tea towel and all. And I created a reel for that, and it has thought hundreds of thousands of views out of nowhere. And it was a really simple contact of like me setting down cups, turning on the kettle, making the crisp sandwich, and then eating it. Like that's literally all that it was. And it took off, and it performed really well. But I wasn't paid for it. It was just fun, and I thought about it, and then 2 minutes later, I executed the whole thing. It wasn't even fancy, but I think those things.
That's what I'm saying. That's what works when you don't. But like, I know it's a really, really, really crap analogy. I was trying to silicone my shower the other week, and I'm like, I couldn't do this. But because I was thinking about it too much, I kept cocking it up. I had to strip it off and start again. And I was like, I need to walk away from this. So I called Steve and I was like, you do it. Hi, Steve. I have to apparently shout out to my husband today because he says I never talk to him or talk about him nicely.
We love you, Steve.
We love you.
Shout out to Steven.
Switch back on.
Oh, wait, don't. Look after the kids. Oh, that's great. So,
that's a cracker job.
I forgot you asked me a couple of questions there. So you asked me about that, and then did you ask my favorite event?
What was the worst, and what was the
okay. So my favorite event was actually more business related. So I attended Social Media Savvy, which is
that's the one I was talking about. That one.
Oh, was it with the pink?
Yes.
Okay, yes, it was my yes. We got there in the end. So it was my favorite by far. But as I sort of mentioned at the start, I am a total business geek, and there was great speakers there who told their business stories, and I could really relate to a lot of the stuff they were saying, and I just love hearing about how people get into business, what they're doing in their business, and so on. So they just had amazing guests, and that's run by Copper Square, which is a social media consultancy business here in Northern Ireland, who I actually do some work for. So shout out to them. But it's a really good event. And they have great speakers like Matt Navarra, like he is massive in social media, particularly on Twitter. And who else is there? There John Thornton, who runs, he doesn't now, but he's a social media manager for Innocent Drinks, which is really funny on Twitter. Yes.
Right.
And he was fabulous. And of course, my biggest fangirl moment was meeting Serena Terry, who's Mommy Banter. She was there speaking.
My goodness.
That's I fangirled, and I wasn't even shy about it. I made a beeline for that woman, and I was like, we've got to get the photos done together. And oh my gosh, she follows me. That's my claim to fame. She follows me.
Brilliant.
And
This week that told me that.
She messaged me and she was all,
yeah.
Oh, I love your content, because you keep it real, and I do try to do that on social media, especially on my own account. I mean, that's we're just talking about being authentic, and she's like, some people, I mean, their houses are pristine, it's like a show house. I'm like, no, my house, I show the good side, and then my husband on his account will show the mess in the background, so he shows me up. But yeah, that was my biggest banger moment. I'm meeting Serena at Social Media Savvy with no shame in my game. I was on to her. I just leached onto her. I was like,
no problem with that there. It's all about girl power and appreciating quality and banter, and you're all about the banter.
Never mind that.
Oh,
I put my boss up. I'm gonna start taking up eating ice cream, crisps, cookies, drinks.
You'll be doing that in 11 days time.
Job.
11 days time.
To do that there in social media class.
See, you've just made it bad because he's prepping for a show next week.
Well, you haven't made me feel bad.
So you're talking about crisps and ice cream and
sorry, I should have talked about something less, but there was a lot of food content there I was just talking about. Maybe, sorry, I didn't realize.
I'm just thinking you have the dream job, like eating ice cream, crisp sandwiches, drinks. Oh,
so big fangirl moment there. Fantastic. And what was your worst event that you've gone to? What was your expectations up here, and the delivery for you on a personal level was right there?
I definitely haven't been to a bad event, so I want to state that for the record. I haven't. Like, people really do put the effort in, but I found recently I went to a few, and I noticed that those PR companies, they're leaning more into younger people who are on TikTok. And yes, I've joined TikTok and I post some videos, but I'm not really in, like, I'm more into watching the videos as opposed to creating them. And also, as you outed me, Alien, I'm 41, and a lot of these people at these events are like 20. So I just think I haven't been to a bad event, but I've just felt really old at it. Some of them.
Yeah, I feel old. Like, I'm sure Davey, obviously you're different. You've been in it for a while, but I feel really old coming into the industry that I'm now in. And look at all these younger, slimmer models, and they're all doing successfully well in their business with different branches of the business. I'm like, wow. But then I have to realize I've had a career. I've went traveling. I have 3 kids. I have a house. I have a husband.
You've done most of the stuff they dream of.
I'm just doing it in reverse.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be put off by the age. I'm just going to go, I've got less inhibitions now. So if I feel like dancing in the middle of the gym because I've got my earphones in, I am going to break out some moves. And they're pretty much like mum moves. Like, they're almost as bad as dad bod moves, but it's a little bit of rhythm, you know?
I don't know. People can be pretty jealous of those mum moves. I mean, I got them for sure. I mean, I was busting them out just this morning when I heard there could possibly be an NSYNC tour happening, you know?
No way.
Yeah, so I mean, I had that blast.
Yeah, so do you go to that one?
I love all the bands. Like, I love the fact that all these bands are reunited again. It's class. But I'll probably never get to go to them. But
whereas my kids are probably like, who's that? Who?
Oh yeah.
We had
rock out the double denim.
We had a young fella starting our work there, so we did. And Jesus, I've never laughed as much in my life. The phone rang, pound phone, and it was a supervisor looking to speak to him. So the person walked over and gave it to the young fella. The young fella's looked at the phone. The supervisor says, "You put it to your ear and you answer it." And we were like,
"Don't know." No, I said that to my kids as well. I'm like, "Oh, if you were going to talk on the phone, what would you do?" And they go like this. I'm like, "No, it's this. That's the phone." They're like, "A mobile." Or I'm like, "That's it. Not that."
I've never laughed as much in my life. The young fellow was mortified.
See, if I went to something like this, what is it? For you. If I got that, and it's like, "Phone's for you." I love that one. Nobody can get it.
Showing your age.
We're showing our age here big time.
So we've talked about you've been in retail before. Now, I have obviously been speaking to you in the background, and you've let me into a little bit of snippet that social media and doing the content writing isn't the only thing that you do. So is it fair to say that it's not your sole source of income?
Not my sole source. It could be my sole source, but I don't mean I don't want it to be. I just want to do other things. So I don't do it full time. I also work for F&F Clothing at Tesco. So I work as a colleague there, doing visual merchandising, which is just a really fancy term for putting out the clothes and making it look appealing, like customer visuals. So I do that 3 mornings a week while my kids are at school. So I can come home at 12 and then I start my content writing. And I love that. And that's because number one, I love retail. And number 2, being freelance can be really lonely. You know, you get up for work and your work is going to your office or your kitchen table and you sit there by yourself all day. It can be really lonely. And I'm a really sociable person. So I really like being out of the house and really enjoy that. That's sad to say that I just love the buzz of being really, really busy at Christmas, where most people would want to be kicking back. That's when
we had 2 years where we couldn't be social as much as we want to, so grab the opportunities while they're there. So
I only went into work there for Christmas in 2020, and I'm still there.
Brilliant.
So I do that.
Like, so it's not just always doing the same thing. I need to find something for me.
Yeah, well, so when I left retail, I really did miss it. I didn't miss the hours. So the fact that I only work 8 to 12, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is a dream, a retail dream. Because then at 12, I can just say bye and go home.
Later.
Yeah. And get ready for.
And you also, is it true that you chair your PTA mom?
Yeah, I'm a PTA mom. So I chair the PTA of my girls' school, which is a full-time job in itself.
Now,
Didn't
note the
realise
word chair, not a member. Chair.
Yeah,
I'm
'cause I think
giving
they
you
were struggling.
kudos.
I couldn't
Compliment,
maybe
yeah.
I just couldn't get people to do it. No, so I do, but I have great help, really good help. And well, I knew I was going to be in the school for 7 years when I had Olivia, and then Zana came along, so I'm still there, going to be there for another while. So I thought, yeah, and it's great to get into the school and be involved in the kids' life, and I love the kids in the school, and when they see me out, like they all speak to me, and
Brilliant.
I'm sure their parents are like, "Why are you talking to that old woman?" And I'm like,
He's on TikTok.
"Oh, they recognize me." Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying, yeah, so I love it when the kids recognize me out of school and I get to go into school and partake in all the events that happen to fundraise for the school. And it's good to know what's going on in there, and I love it. And next to that, as if I didn't have enough to do, I also volunteer my time through my business with Young Enterprise. So I go into primary schools and secondary schools and I teach about entrepreneurship, new product development, and careers advice. And I love that. I think if I didn't do content writing and hadn't gone down the retail route, I would just love to do that. I love seeing kids get excited about business. And I think they, especially particularly young kids, like they just have brilliant ideas about things and how the world works and the creative minds and the creative flow of things. I love that. So I'm doing that as well.
So they don't see a reason why I can't work. That's kind of the best thing about working with younger
Yeah.
people.
They just have brilliant ideas, and you just think, gosh, I wouldn't
Have
have
you ever
thought
come
of
across
that.
my
They
mum in
just
social
see things
enterprise?
differently.
Have you?
I don't think so.
Because my mum does
Does
it.
she work
She
for
would
them?
do out eating dairy and stuff like that there in Banbridge Road. And she would go out sometimes. Like I have a water bottle.
Okay, because that's where I would go
have
into.
the water part of it. Does that make sense? The bottle part. But it was a water bottle with a speaker in the bottom.
You have a bottle.
I had a bottle with a speaker in the bottom.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't have the water nor the bottle anymore. But I have the speaker, and it's great because when I'm in a mood, like a good mood, and I put the music on full boot in the house, I use that speaker and we all dance around like lunatics for however long it is. But yeah, that was a social enterprise thing.
Good.
And what else? I
Yeah.
got? A few other random stuff. So mum just goes, "Here, try that. I try that." So
I know it's so much fun. Like I'm going into a local school here where the Banbridge Academy. I'm going in there next week for 10 weeks. So the kids can come up. I know they can come up with a business idea, a product, and then they're going to sell it at a Christmas market. So I'm looking forward to that. It was fun. I done it last year, the year before as well. And it's just fun to see what the kids come up with, and they get so excited.
is it true that through the social enterprise program that you can go on to get like funding through it to actually make your product a real life thing on a commercial level, not just on a here's a project we've
Yeah,
done.
I believe so. Yeah, because some of the kids even just continue on their business in the background and they maybe sell through social media and they've become quite successful with that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. Ooh, pretty cool.
Because there are grants for young entrepreneurs. You know, there are grants for like under 25, under 21, and so on. So
I
there
like
are grants for that.
geriatrics. I said geriatrics because in the maternity ward, I'm considered a geriatric. Not that I'm in the maternity ward, but when I was. So I'm just saying, like, it should be geriatric grant. You know, midlife crisis grant.
A free bus pass.
Then you get that
Oh, that would be good.
get that 65. Now, you mentioned earlier on about your husband and your kids, and they obviously feature in your social media. Has there been
Yes.
any times when either Chris or your daughters have decided that, well, if I'm going to be in your social media content, you're going to have to give me blah, 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 and blah, like have any social media demands? Like any, like, what do you
Well,
call it?
my kids are pretty
Sassy.
sassy anyway. Like they just come out of the womb sassy. They get it from their dad. It's certainly not me. So if you follow me on social media, you'll see that my kids are just they're so like they're nuts. They're very chalk and cheese. Olivia, she's 9. She's like straight as a die. Everything's black and white. Zana's 6. She just thinks the world revolves around her, and she doesn't give a care in the world about anything. She just is all singing, all dancing, 24/7. She wants to be the next Taylor Swift and wants Olivia to manage her. So she's already planning her world tour. So they love it, but they don't really know what social media is, and they didn't until recently. When we got an air fryer. Who in the world didn't? and we got the Board of Lunch air fryer book. And in it, there was a recipe for cream egg croissant. So we made it, and then we thought Olivia's a real sweet tooth. So we thought we'll video her taking her first bite. So she took a bite out of it, and she was, oh, this is amazing. Something really funny it was. So I put it I made a reel on Instagram, and Nathan from Board of Lunch shared it. And so it got lots of views because obviously he's got a massive account. But I didn't think anything of it. And then Olivia came home from school and she's like, my teacher said she's seen me on Instagram. I was like, oh my gosh. She said, she's seen me eating the croissant. Am I famous? And I said, oh, because your teacher seen you. So she was amazed by this, and I showed her the video and how many views it had got, and she just thought this was unreal. She thought, oh my goodness, there's going to be a talent scout knocking at the door here. Her career's taken off.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and then also my friend, she works for the Odyssey Foundation and Belfast Giants down there, and they invited us down to the reopening of W5, and my kids have been using some of the promotional material for that. So, you know, the kids were on a billboard. So people had said to them, and they were on the like a TV advert on the social media adverts, and they were like, Olivia, Zana, we seen you. We seen you on the M1. Like they thought this was like amazing that all these people had seen them. But I don't show a lot. I show a good bit of them, but some things I think, and I think this about any sort of social media, you know, there's a lot of stuff we just keep for us. I don't want to share absolutely everything and for everyone to know what's going on in my kids' lives. Just the funny stuff, and they are funny. And then my husband just rolls his eyes. I said, right, come on, Chris, we've got to create some content here. Like, get on board. You're staying on board until the stuff's done. So just suck it up. So he's like the Instagram dad in the background doing the work.
I told the two
For no
boys one
reward.
day that they had the opportunity. They could have got millions views. We were in Home Bargains, pour down, and
Yeah.
I stand beside Mandy, looking at stuff, mind my own business. And the two boys came up behind, got a plunger and stuck it to my head. I couldn't get it off. I mean, the shop was full. Everybody's in tears laughing, and the more I try to pull it forward, the more it stuck. And they never videoed or nothing. And everybody says, if he's got the video that Santa said, I say, there you go, lads, he's just missed your opportunity. We were trying to figure out, if this doesn't come off, how am I going to do? Like, do you scan it through like it's here, you know?
Oh my goodness.
I wish I had videoed it. Some of the stuff they come up with, you know, it's comical. And every time I say them, you forgot your phone.
Sometimes
you could have been writing it in.
That's been great to share on social media. It's always going to be a funny story that you've got just for you as well.
Oh, do you want to see the place? Like, everybody, like even security guards, everybody was coming around looking at me. There's me, people around me trying to get us off, like, and nobody helped me, just killing themselves laughing. So I'm sure it's out there somewhere. You actually hear the suction of it going on. I was like, And the two boys just looked, and I looked at everybody else looking at me, and I was like,
what was Mandy doing?
Oh, she's laughing too. They're killing themselves on them. So
were you like laughing as well, but inside going, I'm gonna kill you?
No, I was laughing as well. So it was, you know, what can you do? You know, it's funny. You can't get angry or nothing like that. And it's a moment.
It is a moment.
I says, but it's an opportunity they missed out on. So if anybody out there has a video of it, send it to me.
Could be worth money.
I'd love
there
to
you
see
go.
that.
You could be viral right now.
No, so like pictures in my head is like, will I have to scan this through? Will I have to bend down and go beep?
They should have the gunshot.
Oh, I already know. Never thought of that. I got it off in the end anyway.
So we're covered. We're gonna move on. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We're here doing my content and obviously the stuff that you do as a content writer. Now, there's a lot of apps out there. I have been partaking in Chat GPT. I can't even say it now. Chat GPT.
What's that?
It's like you type in, I want you to draft me a blog or draft me a post of X amount of words covering the topics of blah, 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 blah. And then it literally spoots out stuff within seconds for you. So that means all your writing's done. Now, I have to say that sometimes it gives me ideas that I then go on to use and generate my own posts, or sometimes I have used that information to generate something that I may not necessarily put out in social media, but I've used it to help me generate something. If I'm looking how to say something quickly instead of me sitting there at the computer trying to fight for words. You have a different view on AI material, don't you?
Yeah, I am a fan to an extent. but I think people are relying on it too heavily and are just copy and pasting it. And that's the wrong thing to do, because number one, if you're using the free version, the information that's crawled all over the internet is only valid until 2020. So it's not even up to date. It's only the paid version that is up to date. And some people don't know that. So if you're quoting like facts or statistics or whatever, they're old, they're out of date. As well as that, it's American. So people maybe don't, or maybe paste it and not read through it. So there's lots of typos in it. Also, it can be, if you say you want to write a blog post and you want your keyword to be fitness, it'll just keyword stuff the whole thing. Fitness, 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 and it won't even read properly. It's too much. So it takes a lot of altering, but people maybe don't have the time to do that or don't realize it does a lot of those things. Also, if you type in a title and someone from another, like say you do a fitness title, right? And then someone else does a fitness title. Well, that AI is just trawling the internet and pulling all that information together. So the blog posts will be similar. Not exactly the same, but they'll be very similar. And do you really want your stuff to be the same as someone else? Not all the time. So I think there's a lot of work in it. Yeah, it's good. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I don't use it. Like sometimes I will, because I'll use it for the idea generate, ideas, even for my own, but for my own, not really for anyone else's, because I like to do that work myself. I enjoy the research and the editing and so on myself for that. But for my own business, I would use it sometimes, but it does take some manipulation for it to be right.
It's like whenever I'm using it, I don't type in go, do me up a workout that's push and pull exercises, blah, blah, blah. I'm always going for the content side of things, as in like, today I want you to generate a paragraph on fitness and why making sure you hit your macros is important for your physical, mental, and emotional well-being, as opposed to starving yourself and being on that binge cycle. That will be the spiel. Yeah. And then it'll spill stuff back out to me, and I'm like, oh, I never saw that spin on it. And then I'll go through it and I'll edit it and then I'll repost
to make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more information you give it, the better the outcome will be. And I think sometimes people don't do that. They'll maybe just hit log in and then type, write me a blog post on, but they won't say who they are, what their target audience is, what their brand voice is. It's one generic voice. So even if you have blog posts already on your website, for example, and then you post something that's you've got off ChatGPT, it won't marry up. People will read one blog, read the next, and know it's not the same person as well. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
Mixing and matching. I think you lose the flow of who you are. Because I'm sure you've found blogging, and I did a teeny tiny bit of blogging in the past. When I was doing my 5K a day in 2019. I was loving getting onto that computer and just spilling out stuff that was important to me for the reason why I was doing it. And it was cathartic as well. If I had somebody else do that for me, that wouldn't be hitting the essence of what I was trying to bring forward.
Yeah.
Yes, ChatGPT is great for generating ideas. It's great for short, snappy thingies, but probably going forward, it will obviously, the freer versions will be more up to date because the demand will be there for it. There'll be some way to get the money out of it. Like MyFitnessPal, they've now put the scanning option behind a paywall, which is really annoying.
I have to pay for that now.
Right.
Yeah, but there's another app now. Was it called the Keep It Simple Macros?
Something like that.
There's
a few different ones out there, and people rate. And I was like, well, everyone knows. Everyone who you work with in the business knows MyFitnessPal. I'm lucky I have the old version, if there is an old version, but I have the ability to scan. But if I was to
just don't update it.
Not updating it. Wicked. In terms of content writing, I haven't asked you this question yet, but I'm going to ask you now. What are your big do's and don'ts?
I think when you're content writing and you're creating, particularly the written format, it's really important that you are creating original content. So you want that to be yours and you want ownership of that. That's why the likes of ChatGPT, the question really is because someone else could ask that exact same question and post that exact same blog post. So I think if you're creating the original content yourself, no one can deny that it's yours. I also think it's really important to create evergreen content. So that's content that doesn't date. There's no shelf life on it. It's stuff you can regurgitate all the time. A blog post that done really well for me and continues to do really well for me, even though my daughter's out of nursery 8 years, is how to get your kids started for nursery. So I wrote a blog post on, take them over to the nursery, let them see it, start getting into the routine of nursery, let them do things themselves. And I share that every August. It never dates because it's the same thing. So I don't have to recreate anything there. I can maybe update it and I can put in the bottom, updated on 2023 or whatever. But creating content like that is priceless, because you won't run out. It will never run out. You can just regurgitate. Same way come September. For me, September is my new year. It's not January. So I've written a blog post a good few years ago about, September goals and how it's a fresh start, and I can regurgitate that out. So that went out in my newsletter on the 1st of September. So that's really important. It can save you a lot of time because those things never change. I also think it's really important to research, particularly if you're writing for a client. You need to research their website, look at what content they already have, so that you're not writing it again. Maybe they have something that they already have and you can just spruce it up a bit. Maybe it just needs updated, brought back up to speed. And another important part of content writing, which a lot of people don't do, this grates me, is repurpose the content. If you have paid for some, you make a post on social media about it once, what is the point? The people will just go read it on a Monday and that'll be it gone. So you need to be creating like social media posts around that. And probably if you have one blog post, that can keep you going for a month. You just need to word it in different ways. And as well as that, that can generate into a newsletter, that can generate into a chat of a podcast. You can make a YouTube short of it. So repurposing that content is really important. And it also helps keep its lifespan going.
So like if we were to do, like, for example, I was to put out a content on a workout program that I was doing, or I demonstrated a couple of moves, like a home workout, and then I could cut that video down to maybe one exercise, and I could use that video from that exercise, but talk about the benefits of that particular exercise versus this one, or the do it this way, not that way. Is that type of thing you're talking about?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So you should, if you have a long video, chop it up, but you can use the video, then you can make a still post of it. And then you could talk about something else related to that. It could easily be whatever, like the still could be what the move that you're doing, but you could even go in as far as talk about the comfort of what you're wearing, the importance of wearing breathable clothes. You could just talk, you could take a different angle on it and then talk about something, you can talk about something else to do with it. There's so many options, and people just don't do that. They'll maybe just share that content once, because it's really important to realize as well, the only person who sees all of your content is you. So if you go on to Instagram or Facebook and you post something on Monday, well, there's that much content for people to consume. By Tuesday, they won't really have remembered unless they've saved it and it was something that really resonated with them. So in 2 weeks' time, tell them the same thing. I don't know why people don't
stuff
do
and never
that.
look at it again.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. People don't. You think, oh, I posted that 2 weeks ago, I can't post that again because people will know. No one's going to know. No one. The consumption of content,
Unless
particularly
that
video
person
content,
spending time scrolling through your Instagram to go, oh. But nobody
Yeah,
like, as I
no
said,
one's
unless
doing
you're
that.
doing that.
No one. The only person who sees it all is you. No one else is going to worry that you've posted that again. And sometimes, even if you post something, say the 1st of I don't know, we'll go 1st of October, and you've maybe gained 10 followers, more or less, they won't have seen that unless they're scrolling way back, and they're not going to do that. So post it again for those followers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I'm actually looking forward to your October post, stroke your end of November start of, because she does mugs. It's all about the mugs.
Mugs.
You can't have holiday without an e-mug. You get a Christmas mug. So I'm like going, I think when I see that every time, I'm going, that's a cute mug. How many mugs does this woman have? Like the
Well,
sugar written
particularly
ones,
like Christmas, like I just make cups of tea to use the mugs, the Christmas mugs. I'm like, you've only got a month to use it. You gotta
Yeah.
bang those teas out for sure.
like your Christmas jammies. A lot of people do it in their Christmas Eve box.
Mm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
but Christmas is over in 24 hours. So I was
Uh-uh.
like, to start in December, like, because you do the Christmas jumpers all for December, why can't I do Christmas jammies?
You gotta get the value there, you know.
That's
Yeah.
it. I would like Christmas jammies for my wee man. He would be into superheroes and stuff, so I used to get like superhero pajamas. You can use that all year round.
Absolutely.
Um,
I'm not, no offense to anyone who does this, but I'm not a big fan of like dragging it into February. The Christmas jammies, once they're done,
that's
they're
it.
done, like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Take it away the
that's
next year.
criminal.
because that looks like I'm not organized. I hate that. Right, Jillian, before we conclude, you've been absolutely phenomenal today. You've been
Yeah, it's
an
been
absolute
brilliant.
hoot. We always
Thanks,
ask
guys.
our
This has been so much
guests to
fun.
give 3 tidbits of advice for listeners. So anyone who is looking to hone in their skills with content writing, what advice would you say or give them so they know how to nail it every single time? I know we've covered a lot of it before, so it's probably
Yeah,
repeat.
so I'll come back to a question that I always, anytime I have a Zoom or a meeting with a client, the first thing they always say to me is, how do I get these ideas? What do I start with? What should I do? And I always say I always advise them on the best place that they can get content ideas, which I believe are, number one, you frequently asked questions. What are people asking you on repeat that you are sick to the back teeth of repeating? I said, there's your number 1, number 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6 blog posts. I said, that's really easy just to direct them to that, and that answers the question without you having to repeat yourself.
Yeah.
As well as that, by directing them to your website, that's driving traffic. That's driving traffic to your website, which means if they're reading that, you always link a few blog posts at the end of a blog post. That they'll encourage them to move on to the next piece of content, and therefore your bounce rate will be good. It won't be bad. So bounce rate is basically how quick people come on and off your website. So it's particularly important website, and then hopefully travel to the product page and see what you have to sell. So frequently asked questions is really important. I also say, think of the problems. People want solutions. They don't want you telling them this is what you're doing wrong. They know what they're doing wrong. They'll come to you because they want you to fix it. So another great idea for a piece of content is solving someone's problem. And they just want to know, they just want to get to it. They're not interested in 1,000 words about what they're doing wrong. They just want to know, here's the problem, here's how to solve it. That's a big one. If you're also struggling for ideas, there's a great website called Answer the Public, and that brings all the information together of what people are searching in Google and questions that they are asking. So you can put in the topic and it'll show you a spin-off of all the questions that are asked, and you can click on those and it'll bring you up like some of the top responses, and you can read those and you can interpret that in your own way into your own content without copying, basically. So there's some good ideas to get you started, but definitely I think people overthink the getting started bit, when really there's a ton of stuff that you probably even maybe already have, and maybe you just need to fix up or regurgitate in a better way.
I think when it comes to the social media aspect, I think that it's like you have to come up with a new reel. It really isn't that hard. Like you said earlier on, you did the Kristen thing, you got loads of views on it. But sometimes, is it just a case of going, here's me, have some trending audio in the background, and then have your stuff bing, 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 bing. Is that good? Or is it better for you to speak?
Yeah. You can do that, but you have to put your own spin on it, because maybe someone else, particularly trends are good to watch, but you have to have your own take on it, because once someone sees the trend on repeat, because that's how the algorithm works, you flip, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is, and people are doing the same thing. Like, say for example, the easiest thing to use the example is a dance. There's a person doing the dance, the same dance, the same dance, the same dance. So you can use the audio and just put your own spin on it, so it'll still be popular because you have the trending audio, but it'll be a different take on the things.
Yeah, sometimes I have all these ideas. It's me trying to put them into either a picture, a video, or get the time to do it. Like sit down and go, and then edit, fix whatever, and send off. That's why I'm struggling with. It's a time issue.
Yeah, I
Like
tend to schedule a lot of my content for my business, so I schedule ahead, like even a month ahead. But that's because I reuse a lot of my own content. But maybe I'll change the graphic or whatever. But in terms of my own personal account, I tend to do that off the cuff because I don't really put much thought into it. And those things, the ones that I don't put the thought into, are the most successful.
When it comes to you scheduling your, before we close, before you schedule your stuff, do you let you go, right, today is the day I have to sit down, and you do your hard tasks first and then go through the rest? Or how do you plan your working week stroke month?
Yeah, like I'll look ahead and think maybe sometimes I'll pick a topic and that's what I'm going to talk about in my business, this month, and then I schedule the material around it. Or I'll go back to blog posts that I've maybe wrote 2 years ago, and I'll start creating content of that and driving people to that blog post to the website in order to see what I do. So there is a bit of planning, and some of it's a bit winging, I'm not going to lie. But there is quite a bit of planning. I try to look at like awareness days. I use some of those, or look at the month that's coming up and the topic that might be a hot topic. Like coming up, I've got Halloween ideas for businesses, content wise. Same with Christmas. So I have that planned in advance, and like my newsletter going out in the new year. What do you talk about in the new year? What kind of business talk about? So there is, like, I've got all that planned. All my newsletters are planned until January. I have all those scheduled already. So I do try and plan, because a lot of people don't work. They work in their business, but not on their business. And it's important to take that time to look at your business, and even ask people outside of your business to look at your business. Because sometimes fresh eyes on things can be really good too. And I think that's really important, to get people to have a look, particularly people who may use your service or your product. What do you think is appealing about this? Or what would you prefer? Or, what do you think I'm doing wrong or I'm doing right? Or what do you think works? And
finding those people who are going to give you the honest answer rather than the answer they think you want to hear, though.
Yeah, I'm very honest, and I even say that in one of my packages that I have advertised on my website. I'm a straight shooter, but I've always been like that. Even right back in those school days, I don't mince my words. And I think that only, I don't know if it's get worse is the word, but with age, you don't have time to mess around. So I'm a straight shooter, and I find that particularly when people are paying me for my opinion, I'll give it. And sometimes it can be harsh and people can be a wee bit shocked, but then they appreciate it at the same time. So it's probably in the delivery of it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm probably working on hard. But I find that if I'm getting peeved off, or the client's moaning about a certain exercise and doesn't like it, the reps just get bigger. There's always ways. There's always ways.
But now I'm gonna teach you.
Yeah. So I like my rule in the gym is I'll give you an exercise, and if you don't like it, you can have a second option. So option 1 is blah, and option 2 is blah. And obviously, option 2 sounds all new and shiny. It looks a lot easier, but it never is. And I'm like, oh, we go option 2.
That's cruel. You're cruel, so cruel.
Sucker.
And I go, that's the last time you pressed me. That's the only thing I have up my sleeve is never choose option 2. I tell them all, never choose option 2, and they all choose option 2. Like, why?
Maybe you should put that in your content.
Maybe. Because I don't want people to remember.
Watch option 1 or option 2.
What one day is going to be more?
What's behind the door?
Jillian,
yeah,
that's
a good one.
Thank you so much for your time today. We have learned a lot today. I hope Davey has too.
Oh,
gosh, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. Oh, it's been so much fun.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
It is. I think something that we need to be delving into for the podcast and everything. So we've learned some tricks and trades today.
Oh, sure. Well, if anyone who's watching or listening wants.
I did that last year. I'm like 2 stone. I'm like, nothing that again.
So, anyone who's listening or watching wants to get in touch and they have any questions, I'm more than happy to share knowledge that I have. I just think some people keep everything tight-lipped, but if I know something that can help, I'll share it. I think like when you talked about putting out your prices and stuff and how people are tight-lipped, and
knowing your worth and knowing your value. I think that in Northern Ireland, especially within the fitness industry, that I have become aware of in the last 2 years, is that everyone doesn't want to talk fees. I'm like going, and you talked about the FAQs. That is the one question that we get as PTs, well, I'm sure you got all the time, Davey, was, how much do you charge? And I was like, okay. Why did you come to me? Did you think I could help you with your problem? First and foremost, yes. So what does it matter how much my charge compared to Joe Blogs? Like if you think Joe Blogs can do it, do Joe Blogs. But anyway, that's just my little rant, Maria. We will put all your social media posts and taglines in the description that we're going to put on YouTube. It will be edited this weekend.
Hopefully, yeah.
And then hopefully airing it next week.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I have loved this. Oh my goodness.
Is this your first podcast, by the way?
No, I have no. I have done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do that to you, Jillian. It's not, but it's definitely my most.
When I have that bit, you go, "Oh yes, of course."
No, what you'd be saying is, "I wish it was."
Oh, I wish, but it's definitely the most fun.
Brilliant! That's what we love to hear.
Yes.
We are quite fun because we're old people. Like.
Everybody says that. It says like the podcast is the two of us just having a bit of crack and banter, and that's what they love about it.
Yeah, it's really natural. Like the
chat,
so natural. I love that.
Next
Just
time,
like I'm taking one of the things. Go stop saying that. Stop saying that.
I sent text and saying ice cream, Chris.
Yeah, he's gonna be thinking about this all day.
I'll try and get you the hookup. I'll get you the hookup.
Halloween mug.
We'll just send you his address. The next time Mullins leave it to your door, they can just redirect.
You want a food tester?
I'll keep you in mind. You can be in my next bit of content.
You might get content, but
right, we're gonna sign off.
Definitely.
I have to dash, I'm afraid. So, Jillian.
Yes, pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
Keep
much.
yourself safe, and we'll be in contact shortly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank